the fear of failure, right? So what if I take this risk? What if I take this jump and it doesn't work out?
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. I think I feel like that's probably a number one for me, but I think it was hiding behind my analysis by paralysis. So if I look at myself and taking jumps into what we now work on together, um, if I'm being honest, it's the fear of failure.
At some point, you realize the numbers you're hitting aren't measuring the life you're living.
Welcome to Quit the Quota. I'm Darryl Miedico.
And I am Marya Ryan. This is the podcast for professionals, especially sales professionals, who've done what they were supposed to do and still found themselves questioning whether that version of success really fits.
Each episode features honest conversations with people who stepped outside the traditional mold, along with reflections from our own years in the corporate world.
Quit the Quota isn't about quitting ambition. It's about defining success on your terms. Good morning.
Good morning, Marya. How are you today?
Well, it's bittersweet day. My daughter turned 20 today.
Oh boy.
Can you believe it? I have a 20-year-old. What in the world?
How are you doing with that?
I mean, it's funny. I feel like she was just born. I feel like she was just little and now she's, at college and turning 20 and she's funny. I texted her this morning, happy birthday. And she's like, I feel old. And I was like, come on. Are you freaking for real? Are you serious? She goes, I know, but there's a 2 in front of my number. I'm like, there's a 4 in front of mine. What do you want? Like, are you serious? But yeah, I mean, obviously it's awesome. I'm really blessed. I've got great kids, close to both of them. So, but it just, man, it's so true. Time flies.
I was listening to another podcast a few weeks ago talking about that concept of time and how when you were a kid, like time dragged. Now think about when you started school as a kid, right? You started September, right?
Yep.
It
Yeah.
seemed like an eternity.
Yeah.
To Christmas break.
That's so true.
Right? Like it was like, oh my God. Now when we hit September, I don't know about you, but like Ashley's already starting to decorate for Christmas. Like
right.
The Christmas
No,
decorations.
I decorate after like Thanksgiving and then like that weekend.
Yeah.
But most people are decorating. You're absolutely right.
It's being staged. It's like it's coming out, right? Like the minute that Halloween is over, that's when like we're rolling right into Christmas. But
right.
The interesting thing that the guy was talking about on the podcast was it's a relative feeling, right? So when you're a kid, okay, let's say you're 10 years old, okay, 1 year is 1/10 of your life, right? When you're 40 years old, right, the time that a year isn't as great. It's not as So that was the whole thought around that was specifically. It's going to seem longer, but as you get older, like a year is not as long as it was, even though it's the same time frame.
Yeah. That's such a good point. But it does go by so fast now. It's just accelerating.
Yeah.
But, I'm still excited. We're going to go visit her tonight and go to dinner and all the things. So excited for that. But how about yourself?
I had a pretty cool week, especially yesterday. Cool. I'll use that word intentionally also. Got to land on the ice runway at Alton Bay up in on Lake Winnipesaukee.
Okay, ice runway. Is it actually ice? Just pure ice?
It's the only runway in the lower 48, okay, that is FAA approved on a lake. So it's an FAA approved registered runway. They can only open it when the conditions allow, right? The ice is a certain thickness. And if anyone has a chance to look it up online. Alton Bay ice runway. They'll come out and they'll carve out, a runway for airplanes to land on. And
that's so cool.
It's been a bucket list thing for me for flying for a while now. But again, every year doesn't mean you're going to get it, because some years we don't have enough ice to get the thickness. And then even when we did get it in previous years, schedule didn't line up or the weather didn't line up or just whatever. So this year, finally, everything kind of lined up and
That's so
I was able
cool.
to do it.
That's awesome. What a feeling.
It was
I don't know if
wild.
everybody knows that you fly for fun.
No, probably not. I don't think we've talked about that yet. So
We'll have to dive into that.
we can talk
But
about the fear associated with that.
oh, that would be awesome actually,
Yeah.
because I'm not so sure how I would feel about that. Taking over, I'm good being a passenger, but I don't know if I'd want to be in your role. I'll let you handle that. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Well, that's kind of a nice segue. Wasn't intentional, but
It is.
our topic today, I'm really excited to talk about this because very applicable to myself. And we're going to be talking about top 4 reasons why people don't take the jump. But don't take the jump how? What was your thoughts around this topic? Because I know it was something that you were like, we got to talk about this.
Yeah. The top 4 reasons why people don't take the jump specifically to pursue their dreams, pursue, that call to entrepreneurship, that call
Yeah.
to building something yourself.
Right.
Obviously in our show, it's primarily salespeople, but anyone, right? Really the top 4 people, or the top 4 reasons that are holding you back, that are, causing concern. And I just thought it would make for a great show just to talk about those reasons, go a little bit deeper on that,
Yeah.
and talk through it.
That's awesome because I don't know if people actually understand the reasons why they don't. Right? They'll make excuses like for myself. I know that I have delayed a lot of really cool opportunities in my own life because and I make an excuse, but I actually don't realize that it's tied to fear.
Yep. I mean, as human beings, we generally don't like to talk about fear. We don't like to talk about negative things. We don't like to welcome that into our mind, and that's okay. I actually would say that there's a time and place, and you have to be able to deal with fear in an appropriate manner. You have to understand that if you're going to address it, and if you're going to look at fear in the eye, that you cannot let it consume you, because that can easily happen as well. But no, a lot of folks they'll stay away from fear, and they'll stay away from friction, and they'll stay away from challenging circumstances. And that's, I mean, to be an entrepreneur, it's difficult. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So you got to either be built or build yourself for it, for sure.
So the top 4 reasons that came to your mind are all based around fear, interestingly enough.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. Should we do like a countdown here? Like, I don't know the best way to do that.
Yeah, let's
Start
just
with
start.
one.
Let's just start with one. One that I think maybe stands out the most.
Yeah. I mean, I think I like the way that I have the list in front of me here. I like the way that's built out, because I think the first one is going to speak to a lot of people, and I think the last one will speak to a lot of people. I think the last one the most, to be honest. So I'm just going to go in order that I wrote these down.
All right, cool.
I think the first one that jumps out to me is the fear of failure.
Ooh.
The fear of failure, right? So what if I take this risk? What if I take this jump and it doesn't work out?
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. I think I feel like that's probably a number 1 for me, but I think it was hiding behind my analysis by paralysis. So if I look at myself and taking jumps into what we now work on together, if I'm being honest, it's the fear of failure. Yeah. That's a tough one. It's a tough one to actually sit there and realize I'm scared. And it's as an adult, you're like, who wants to admit that? Who's going to say that? I'm not scared. I'm not like a little kid. I don't feel those types of emotions, but that's true. So, okay, fear of failure, but fear of failure of what? Right?
Of what? Well, exactly. I think that's where we're going to come back to at the end of when we get to like this whole concept here, right? Of what, right? But we'll come back to that. mean, I think for most people, right, it's the fear of, well, what if I do this and it doesn't work out? Right? Which will lead in some other fears we're going to talk about here in a minute. But what if I do this and it doesn't work out? Right? Oh boy, I don't know if I can take that. I don't know if I can, oh my God, that would be. But what I would say to that is, have you failed before in your life? Have you failed before in your life? Pick something that, you've tried,
Mm.
or, maybe you've been doing for a little while, and you do something different, something new, and then have you failed at something? And if you haven't, then you're not pushing yourself enough. I'll say that right now. So, I mean, there's lots of people who speak on this, and mindset discussions around this, but it's not failure. It's you're learning, right? You're learning. I forget the exact stat on it, but it was something crazy. Like, to make the light bulb, it was like 200 iterations that Edison had to do to make the light bulb, right? I don't, it was, and it wasn't, I believe he's got a quote on this where he says, no, I didn't fail at it 200 times. I found the way not to make the light bulb 200 times.
I love that.
Right? So, when I think of failure now, right, for me, I look at it as, well, what's the alternative? What's the alternative?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, yes, I could fail at something new, 100%. But is my why strong enough to learn from that and then push me through? That's number one. So go back to the why. Is the why strong enough to push me through? And two, is that fear of failure, is that greater or less than my current state? So am I in a position where my current state, I am so uncomfortable that, yeah, I may fail at this, but we got to give it a shot. We got to give this thing a shot. And, part of the fear of failure on this is complacency. Like, that's a big thing to talk about too.
Yeah.
Is if you are comfortable and complacent, then that fear of failure, well, that looks much bigger than your current state.
That's so interesting. So when I was trying to decide whether to be entrepreneurial versus stay in corporate, my fear of failure had me continuing to choose to stay in corporate, to stay in a W-2 place, to look for that, because I thought somehow that I would be more successful, that I wouldn't fail at that, but I'd fail at being an entrepreneur. So I had all these ideas and wrote down a whole bunch of different things, and I didn't really understand. I mean, I've done a lot of mindset work, but I didn't actually really understand what I wanted, and worked through that, to be completely honest, as far as honest with myself. So I think I stayed in a form of complacency because I was just staying in what I knew, which I thought was successful, only to find out it wasn't. Yeah. That's a tough one.
So
Fear
for
of
you,
failure.
so for you though, I mean, I would, and this is like part of the challenge around the fear of failure, right? You weren't not successful in your roles.
True.
You
But
had
I wasn't to the level that I wanted to be
in your roles or in life.
in life. And probably, I guess, in my roles too, because I ended up on the, layoff cycle chain to some degree. It just wasn't fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so it tied to my life. It tied to how I felt as an individual, and like that whole, like, man, there's something else I'm supposed to be doing. This can't be it. This can't be that I'm just going to keep working for ever and still be feeling like I'm working towards that I don't actually achieve much.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm achieving and I'm supplying income for my family, and other reasons. But yeah, it's more towards my life.
Yeah.
Or about my life. Yeah.
So did you have those feelings of a fear of failure?
Yes. 100%.
And was it that call to fulfillment that was slowing you down? Or rather, that call to fulfillment, when you acknowledged it, is probably was that what sped you up?
I had that my calling was getting stronger, and I guess to speed me up to make the decision, I had a emotional event, right?
Mhm.
So that happened, but I still feel it even to this day. I'm still fighting the fears. And there's a few others that are going to be coming up that are going to be great to talk about. Actually,
Yep.
the next one that I wrote down as something that stands out to me is criticism. Because you start to ask people, and I think it's just natural. You start to ask people's advice. You ask people, "Oh, what do you think?" And meanwhile, they're not living your life. They're not paying your bills. They don't have what God put in my heart and soul for a purpose, right? Why am I asking them?
Yeah.
Right?
You're asking for validation,
Yeah.
right? Um, at least, we're human beings are social creatures, right? We're not meant, even if you're an introvert and
Yeah.
sitting, and coding all day. You're not meant to. I mean, you still have things that you enjoy and people you
Right.
love to be around. So human beings are social creatures, and that's going to come out, with major decisions and things like that, for sure, for sure.
Right.
So, um, and this is now, the second major fear, right? And it's going to be the fear of criticism, right? The fear of criticism when you decide to make that leap into entrepreneurship. Um, the fear of criticism is brutal. It's brutal. Because again, we're social creatures.
Mhm.
We're going to look for validation. We're going to,
Right.
I mean, social media platforms are built on this, right? I mean,
100%.
it's crazy, right? And we all know what I'm talking about. So, um, it's on one hand, it's great to have a network. You just got to know who's in your network, right? And putting yourself around the right people, because if you don't, the fear of criticism can be really, really detrimental. I can give a couple quick stories here. I've got two people that come to mind when I started my business. One, I pitched to him first, and I knew this guy. I still know this guy. He's a good friend. I knew him for multiple years prior to pitching him and saying, "Hey, we should work together on this new venture that I'm starting." And I was super excited, super excited. I just decided on this venture, and I call him up and I say, "Hey, we should talk. Look what I'm doing. Look how great this is going to be." And I think his exact words were, I'm probably going to paraphrase to an extent, but it's pretty close. "What is wrong with you? You invested into what? You're building what kind of business? You're doing what? Are you out of your mind? This doesn't work for me at all. I would never do this. This is horrible."
Oh my
First
god.
guy, first guy that I tried to pitch my services to, I got a hard dose of criticism. Like, "Are you out of your mind?" Like, oh shit.
How did you feel about that? Yeah, I was gonna say, how did that, like, propel you?
In the immediate moment, it was a shot to the gut. Um, like, oh,
Mm.
but my why was strong. What I was doing, my why was strong. And I'm trying to put myself back into those shoes. I remember I was outside talking to him. I sit in my home office here, and I was outside on my front walkway, and I hung up the call when we were done. And I sat. It was warmer outside. It was in the fall, and I sat down on one of our front chairs, and I contemplated on it, thought of
Yeah.
it, listened to what he said. And I remember saying to myself, okay, well, he's not your buyer. He's not your guy.
Right.
But he did bring up some good points because he gave some objections and some things that just didn't make sense to him in this model. And I came back into my office and I sat down and I wrote him out. And I said, okay, here's what he gave me. I need to get better at talking through these things. So wrote it all out. And then I had the realization, and this is a big one that I would share with the group. I can't call people who know me. They know me as Darryl, the salesperson,
Right.
the tech salesperson. They don't know me as Darryl, the real estate investor, the real estate expert, the hospitality expert. They don't know me as that. So I'm going to call them, and that's all they're going to see right now. So I need to start getting out and creating conversations with people who don't know me. So I took his feedback, which was really good feedback, made that distinguishing, like, okay, that's what I have to do. And then I just started, cold reach outs and cold prospecting with people who didn't know me. Put together some business, put together some deals. I remember as I was putting together deals, I had another person, this was the second person, who was just like, I don't see this model working out. I don't see this thing working out long term. I think it was like the following summer when I started to get some clients and some traction. He's just like, be careful. Be careful. And the funny thing with both these stories, we talk about criticism, right? They both gave me criticism because not that they're bad people. They just don't know what they didn't know. They didn't know anything about this
their
business.
own fears talk coming out too.
Say it. What's that?
It's their own fears coming out a little bit too.
100%. 100%. So it's their own fears of failure.
Yeah.
Right. And the fourth fear too. We'll get to that in a minute. So he was at the same time like, oh, I don't know. And the interesting thing about both these people who I talk to still, like I said, they're great people, is years now later after the first negative interactions. I look at it as positive actually, because it only reaffirmed me. But years after that, they have both talked to me later on and said, yeah, you're doing it right. Like, wow, this is a great model. And both of them have now explored short-term rentals in their own businesses, in their own ventures, in their own way. So it's pretty interesting that, in the moment they had heavy criticism.
Sure.
But now, years later, they're like, okay, because they've learned more about it. Right. So, yeah, I think that fear of criticism is a big one, but you need to look at where you're drawing the criticism from. Right.
That's
and
you
need to know your circle. Right. And you got to put yourself around great people. One of the major things that helped me get through this is I was in a killer mastermind. Still am in a killer mastermind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Of like-minded people.
We're huge fans of that here. Huge fans. And I don't care if you're, I don't know, a bike repair shop for cyclists or whatever your job is, whatever your dream is, whatever your passions are, stick with people that are in that same circle for sure. That's huge. That's a huge thing because it's so interesting because we could probably talk about criticism, the fear of criticism for quite a long time because, you mentioned keeping certain people close to you and in your circle. What do you do when it's family? What do you do when someone who's like your best friend in the world, your family, your spouse, your sibling, and typically, right? Like as a parent, you want your children to come to you and share stuff with you, but I work really hard to make sure that I tell them, listen, this isn't my life, it's your life. You got to figure it out. But I think we fall into that trap, right? Like, what do you do now when it's someone that you're so close to and they're like, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind?
My father did not know that I had my business for 2 years.
Sheesh, 2 years is a long freaking time.
2 years. And it was funny because inside of those 2 years, he'd come by the house and, we would have new projects and new startups. And some of those projects, we got a whole bunch of boxes for
Right.
deliveries,
Right.
furniture and design and things like that. And he'd be like, "Where are all these boxes out here?" And I don't know. Ashley's buying
Nothing
something else for the house
nothing to
right
see
now. I don't know
here.
what's going
Don't look
on.
behind the curtain.
But I think you need to know, and it's not my father wouldn't have supported me. It's not that at all. But you need to know your network. You need to know who's around you. My father, very in his younger days, very entrepreneurial spirit. He owned several businesses in his younger days. Um, he was burnt a few times in
Yeah.
his businesses, legitimately, things that just didn't quite work out, right? And he's now more of the mindset of take it easy, stay safe, right? Let you go the safe road, right?
Right. Right.
And even in my
Makes
sales
sense.
career,
Yeah.
like he's an engineer. He couldn't fathom, I shouldn't say he couldn't fathom, but he would always struggle to understand, like, how do you like that kind of work?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
a successful salesperson. One day they're backing in, his and her, BMWs
Right.
into your driveway, and the next day they're repoing, and they're like, "All right,
Right.
you missed your number. We're taking it away." Right? Like that's the life of sales, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be that way anyway. So,
Sure. Sure.
um, so he would always struggle to understand that, and I knew that about him. So I said, he's going to struggle to understand this leap that I'm taking. This,
Yeah.
that's for him in his mind. It's just going to cause his son more stress,
Yeah,
right? So
it's usually out of love
that's all it
that
is.
the criticism comes from. Love and
Absolutely.
their fear, right? They want you to succeed, and you're a parent, you're a husband,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember I was at his house, and it was 2 years. Like I said, it was about 2 years. And I pull him aside and I go, "All right, I got some news for you." And he goes, "What?" I go, "Everything's great. Everything's good." I said, "For the past 2 years, I've been getting a business off the ground. We're profitable. We're making money. We have great clients. We have got great guests." And I said, "I want to tell you about it." He's just like, "Whoa,"
Yeah, 2 years is a long time. Was
Yeah.
he mad? Was he mad that you didn't tell him?
No, he understood. He wasn't mad. But I specifically told him, I go, "I didn't tell you about it because I know you would have got nervous, and I didn't want you to be nervous."
That's so interesting because I think there are people in my life that if I didn't tell them for 2 years I was doing something, that they would be like, "How dare you not tell me?" Almost. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah. Yep. Again, though, but it's your life.
That's right.
It's your life. And for those that are listening, it's your life.
That's right.
If you've got a calling to do something, you should go do it. If you want to, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
If you want to buy the beach house, if you want to buy the boat, if you want to, explore a different career, if you want to
Yeah.
explore a life of entrepreneurship, if this is interesting to you, what we talk about, right? If you want to do these things, it's your life. All right. You don't get to flip over the hourglass.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here?
So we got failure, we got criticism.
Yep.
What's next for you as a big reason why people don't jump?
Yeah. The third one is, and it's a big one, poverty. The fear of poverty.
Do you think people are actually afraid of being in poverty, or is that really more of a just a fear of not having enough money?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would use the word. I like the word poverty, honestly. I would say, I mean, we're going to explore the topic now while we're talking about it, but I would definitely use the word poverty, even though,
Yep.
taking a risk on a business probably doesn't put you into poverty. If you're listening to this podcast and you live in the United States, odds are, even taking a risk, you're going to be okay.
Mhm.
You're going to be okay, even if it doesn't work out. So, but let's talk about poverty for a moment. You probably have a lifestyle today that you're accustomed to, right? As a human, as a father, as a mother, as an
Yeah.
individual, as a family, within your family, right? So I wouldn't lie to you and say, yeah, if it doesn't work out, that lifestyle might change, or it might even change as you go through building your business and starting off. That's certainly
Right.
part of it. So there's a fear associated with that. There's a huge fear associated with that. And that fear of poverty just holds a lot of people back.
That's such a it's funny. So I almost feel like they tie in with the fear of poverty for me ties into the fear of failure. So if I fail, then I will be, not able to pay my bills. If I fail, then I will have lost ground with the career that I've already in, which only means then, or I have to pull from savings or from a retirement fund or whatever. And I think that I've seen a difference in people who are brought up with a really good money mindset and with those that are not. And those that are not tend to fall into the fear of poverty pretty quickly. So, for example, if you were taught just work really hard your whole life, just enough just to pay the bills, you're going to work really hard your whole life just enough to pay the bills. You're never going to have the extra. And I don't mean the extra for selfish reasons, but for giving reasons, for helping others, for organizations or causes that are near and dear to your heart. If you have just enough to pay the bills, how are you going to help other people? So those that have great money mindset, those that are taught from a young age that you can make money anywhere, anyhow, whenever you want to, and money is just a form of energy, which that's a concept in itself. I've noticed that they don't tend to have that particular fear as much as somebody who may have been brought up with that, hang on to every dollar, you're going to lose it.
Yep. This was a really wild concept when it was first introduced to me. Now that I've had time to explore it more, it makes so much sense, at least for me. Money is not meant to hold on to. Money is not meant to hold on to. Money is an idea. Money is energy, right? It's meant to go into one hand and then come into one hand and go out the other. That's it. That's what money is meant for.
Yeah.
And when I started to get my mind around that better, that's really when my business started to take off. Fortunately, it was early on in building my business. I have just a quick example. I had a situation early on when I was starting my business that my washing machine broke. And I knew exactly what the problem was. I knew how to fix it. At least, I think I knew what the problem was because I had to diagnose it. But I elected to not do all that. I could go into the whole story. It's a funny story, but for time purposes, I'll pull it back. I didn't go into all like the troubleshooting. I just said, you know what? I'm not going to do the work on this personally. I'm going to hire someone to do it and let them figure it out. And called the local handyman in our town. Came in, did a great job. He was in and out in probably 45 minutes. Had the part on his truck, right?
Yep.
He got done in 45 minutes. Probably would have taken me 2 weeks.
Right. Your wife would have been like, dude.
Yeah. So, and he charged me whatever the hell it was, $250, $300, which for 45 minutes, I'm like, dude, oh my God, what the heck? What did I
could have done this myself.
However, and this is where my eyes start. This was like the awakening for me. Literally during the time while I was sitting in this office, he was working on the other side of the first floor. While he's working, I'm in here. And while he's working, and I can hear the whatever he was doing. Okay. I could hear the whole thing.
Yep.
I connected with my second client.
While he was working on your washing machine.
Yes. While he was physically working on the washing machine, when I probably would have been working on the washing machine, right? So I paid $300 to him for 45 minutes in the moment. This second client, back in 2020, since 2020, we have now under management for him. We have 4 properties under management.
Wow.
And the client, all told, income to stay space. Yeah. I mean, it's over 6 figures. Yeah, definitely over 6 figures. So the money is not meant to hold on to, right?
Yeah.
I paid that handyman to do what he does best and does great.
Right.
That's how he makes his living. Right. And as long as I'm not doom scrolling and as long as I'm not taking a nap and being unproductive, I can focus on what's important to me, which is at this point in my life, my business ventures, my family, me, in no particular order on any of those. I'm just laying them out. So that's all I focus on. I focus on those 3 things. And I understand that in order to focus on those 3 things, that I'm going to spend money.
Yeah.
But I also understand that I'm going to collect money. So there is no fear. There is no fear of poverty. None.
Did you ever have fear of poverty before that, where it was
Huge.
like, where it would keep you stuck?
Huge fear of poverty because it came from the paradigms in my upbringing.
Right.
Right. Again, go back to my father, mother, great people, hard workers. I wouldn't be who I am without them. Very blue collar household, even though we had, my father was a white collar employee, but he grew into that. He did a great job in his life growing into that. He was very blue collar at a younger age and grew into a white collar role. Not there's anything wrong one way or the other, by the way, but everyone has a different path. But the reason why that's important, it's an important designation, is that type of family up here in the Northeast with those types of roots typically is a type of family that, we bust our butts. We don't spend money on things that we can do ourselves. We fix it ourselves. Right. Honestly, I think that's a very strong, national mindset.
100%.
Right. Because of that generation and what happened from the generation before that with the Great Depression. Right. So, and just, all right, we got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. Let's go. Right. So, so that mindset came about. And for me now, like I said, I hire a lot of stuff out, not because I can't do it. I actually know exactly what to do, which means if I hire it out, you can't try to, get one around on me. I'm probably going to know the way it's supposed to be done. But I'm very cautious with my time, and I'm not worried to spend the money on it.
How do you so now I obviously understand it more myself, and it's something that I'm working on still, because again, I think to me it ties into failure. What if this doesn't work? What if? And well, if this doesn't work, how am I going to pay the bills? And if this doesn't work, I'm going to still be here and I don't want to be here anymore. I'm so sick and tired of being in this particular space, right? So how do you think you can combat that? Like you said, now you had a strong fear of poverty, but you've overcome that. Is there something that you can do to just practice little things that would be not making you feel like I wish I had a $20 bill right here and I would just hold it. Although who carries cash anymore? But exactly.
I don't have any cash on my desk. I have $1 on my desk right here. There we go. What would I do? That's a phenomenal question.
Just little things. Nothing drastic, because you got to start to reprogram and condition your mind.
Well, you got to reprogram and condition your mind for sure. And I'm not encouraging anyone to get so aggressive with any concept that because you can push concepts to the opposite end of the pendulum as well, and we don't want to do that. But no, I mean, like a couple little things that anyone could do right away. Is pick a cause that's really important to you. I have my cause. Pick a cause that's really important to you. And then start donating towards it.
Yeah.
And start donating towards it with something that is slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah. So
Right.
if you're used to giving $100 a month, do 200, do
Yep.
150, 175.
And then embrace the feeling of what it would feel like to give whatever to you is like, whoa, that is life-changing for that cause and for that organization. And giving it in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Not a payment plan.
yeah. Like, how far can I push this? How far can I push this feeling?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not saying do that day one, right? I'm saying get yourself outside your comfort zone day one with something that's important to you.
Mm.
And then set the goal of getting to what would really be something amazing and something magical. Right? And the feeling of who you would help with that. That's one thing you can do. Another thing, just be a better tipper.
I was just gonna say that one.
Yeah, I
I was
took it from you.
just gonna say that one because I have
That's
a really cool story from that I was able to do in front of my kids. So
yeah.
I was going out to dinner with just me and my 2 kiddos, and which was fun because it's just nice to be with them. And I had felt led. So my son, at the time, he didn't have a bank account to like go and put stuff into. So, anyways, long story short, he would give me the cash he earned from landscaping, and then we would do an exchange, and then I put money onto a card for him. Long story short, I had a $100 bill sitting in my wallet, and we were at dinner, and the lady was our server was grumpy. She was grumpy. She was stressed. She looked like she had been sweating and she just was grumpy. And I gave her tip at the end of the night. And then I stuck the $100 bill in there. And I just felt led to. I just felt led to do it. And we were getting ready to go. And she comes around the corner crying. And now, could I have even tipped more? Sure. But it was the act of giving her the $100. I don't even know how it works anymore with restaurants. Do they actually still get the full tip? I don't know. Cause sometimes some places, I think they share depending,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I put the $100 bill in there because I wanted her to have that directly in her hands. And she came over crying. And it actually makes me emotional because she changed on a dime. She changed on a dime and she hand wrote me a note and I saved it. It's actually in my desk drawer and it said, like, you don't understand how much this means to me. And my daughter just went off to college and this is going to help with whatever it was.
Oh
Right.
wow.
And and so my kids saw that. And I didn't do it for notoriety, but I did it because I felt like this is important. And I just had a feeling that if I did this, she was going to switch. And she did. And she walked on air. As we were leaving, she was smiling and joyful. And you know what's funny? Because now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's when I closed the first contract once I started back up with you here at Stay Space. Not here, Quit the Quota. So it did have an interesting impact. And I actually didn't really think about the correlation there. But you have to give is to give. But to transform someone's life and to see it impact myself and then I felt so good because I felt so good knowing that she felt so good. And she was forever changed for the rest of that night and probably will remember that.
You have a story that you just shared. She has a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look, just to quickly digress for a moment, mindset's a wonderful thing when everybody's happy. Everything's going great and everyone's at the same energy level and the same frequency. Oh, wow, this is phenomenal. The true test of mindset is when you come across someone or something that's going to test your energy and test your frequency. Can you maintain your energy and your frequency and pull that person up?
Because I could have easily, and I bet you, I'm
Me
going to
too.
ask you guys think about it. You probably tip based on how that person has treated you, how that person has acted. And some of you may say, well, that's what tipping is for. It's to, you get tipped based on how you do, blah, blah, blah. While I understand that to some degree, but just try it.
And there's a difference too, right? I mean, you need as a human being and as an individual, you need to understand that your intuition is awesome.
Yeah.
Your gut is awesome. Your feelings. You should listen to your intuition, your feelings, and your gut. And the more you listen to it, the more that you trust it, the more it's going to
Yeah.
give you good information.
Yeah.
So your intuition was telling you there
Yeah.
that this person, I don't know, I'm speaking for you, but this person isn't always like this. This person is having a crummy day and they are projecting how they are feeling on
Right.
me with a grumpy eye. And something in your intuition said, I need to do something to bless this person's day. I need to do something
Yes.
to help this person's day. Now, don't
Yep.
get me wrong. I am by no means a saint. um,
Come on.
no
St.
chuckling,
Darryl.
no chuckling out of you over there. Okay. Um, there's times where my intuition will lead me to this person's just a jerk. Like
Yeah,
they,
absolutely. Yeah.
they shouldn't be in the service
Yeah.
industry, right? Like
What are you
like
doing serving
what are we
people?
doing? You should be in the back of the house, like
Yeah,
right. So
exactly.
I'm also very much a realist, right? And it's just
Yeah,
like um that's rare though. If I'm being honest,
yeah,
that's super super rare where I ever have that feeling. Most
yeah,
times it's like, oh, something's going on in their life right now. Something's going on in their life. And I love that story because,
yep.
you know, that's so huge.
And the
And
old me could have hung on to that $100 and been like, "Well, you use this for something else. Put it back in the account that you just gave to your son."
yeah,
You could really have thought that way
yep,
and been like, "I need to hang on to it." But giving, you will to give is a to bless somebody, I should say. Through giving, you bless someone or something. For me, it's animals. Animals are a big cause for me. You're blessing something, someone. And in turn, I was blessed. Even I walked out lighter. My kids walked out lighter. And it just turned into this wonderful, beautiful moment. And maybe even if she hadn't changed her attitude, it just happened to be that she did.
yep,
Even if she didn't, the energy that I put out is still going to come back to me tenfold.
yep. When I leave tips now, just this is how I do it. I just hightail out of there.
Yeah,
Because I don't do it for the validation.
right,
I want that person to honestly be like, like, I don't even want them to even know my name. Like,
yeah,
what just happened? Right.
right,
Because I don't want it. I don't do it for that reason. I specifically do it for them. I want them.
right.
And I've
That's
had
right.
people chase me out and be like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, which
and
is
it's
what was happening. And I was
yeah,
hoping the two that I would be able to, because it was a busy night. I was like,
yep, yep.
but I love it.
Um,
Yeah,
because that increased your energy, that increased her
yeah,
energy, your server and your kids and everyone at this point now is at a
yeah,
different wavelength that's going to help project into something else. She
yeah,
went to her next 5 tables and she was probably 10, 20, 30
yeah,
tables, I don't know, and she was
yeah,
like on roller skates,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then it improved those people's lives
That's right.
at the tables,
That's right. That's the part that's really cool. The
right?
passing it on is awesome.
Yep. So you can't have
So,
the fear of poverty because by not making the decision, not by holding on to it, you are effectively, holding back abundance and wealth for
yep,
others,
that's right.
which comes full circle. You can't do it. Energy comes full circle. You can't have that fear of poverty. It can't slow you down. If you have an idea, you got to execute it.
Yeah, love it.
So all of these to me, all of these fears lead to what I think is like the number one biggest one. And they certainly all
All
intertwine.
connect.
They all connect. And the biggest one to me, it's just a lack of just self-confidence, a lack of self-confidence in yourself. Um,
Yep.
I've got a few friends and other business owners and other industries that I know besides what I do. And I asked one recently. He's a great friend. He owns a very successful gym. Um, would love to have him on the show sometime because he had to work in gyms previously and he had a quota, right? And
Yep.
he owns his own, for gym memberships. Now he owns his own business and
That's awesome.
and he's killing it. He's absolutely killing it. And I asked him, I said, walk me through if you could, just, maybe one of the fears that you had. And one of them was the lack of self-confidence. That, and he used these exact words, we used them earlier. There's comfort. There's comfort that when you're in a role, that not everything is on you. Not everything relies upon you to make the decision. Right? So the self-confidence is lacking because it says, well, if it's just me and I don't know what to do, I can make the wrong decision here, which then could lead to failure, criticism, poverty,
All of it.
all of it, right?
All of
So
it.
it really starts with confidence in self. That's really where this whole thing starts.
Yeah,
And
that's 100% true.
and that's a huge one, right? And what I would just share, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, Marya, for sure. I'll just share this. Like, again, as I said earlier, I'm not a saint. I'm also not a rocket scientist. You will make mistakes. You will fail. You will catch criticism. You will make money decisions, or it's like, ooh, I got to pay a little bit out of pocket for that, right? Or you do need to make an investment if you have a capital
Yeah.
expenditure. Like those things are going to happen, and then you have to have the confidence in yourself that I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I will figure it out.
Yeah. So I think it's so interesting that this is it's funny because I thought fear of failure was my number one. No, now I'm changing it. It was lack of self-confidence. It was fear of the ability. Do I have the ability to do it? And it's interesting because when I think about that though, what I'm always fighting is not necessarily me, because if there's nobody in my way, no voices, nobody, and it's just me, I am like a friggin' rocket ship. I am like a bullet and I am blowing through it. But what ends up happening, and you mentioned the word paradigm, which some people are like, what the heck are these fancy words? It just is your belief system. Like simplify it, right? It's just whatever it is. It's your belief system that you're not even aware you have. Some you'll know, some you don't even know. So we're told as a kid, you can be anything you want, do whatever. You can be a doctor, an astronaut, whatever. I don't care. You can be whatever you want. And then over time, through bad teachers, through bad friends, through parenting, through all kinds of circumstances, your faith, your religion, whatever, you start to build this belief system that is running in the back. It's called in your subconscious. It's almost like if you picture, it's probably not like this anymore, but like the old movies like Wall Street or whatever, and they'd have like running up here like the ticker tape of the stocks and what they were or what their price is. In my head, it's almost like that's running and it's behind the scenes, and but it's going around. That's just my weirdo visualization in my head. And now you got to change what's on that. So my self-confidence issues have a lot to do with how strong-minded I was and how much I have to undo what I might have heard. Oh no, this is where you belong. This is good, Marya. You're good right here. Or someone has been really mean to you, or a parent, really took away your self-esteem, self-confidence to do something. And now you're sitting here going, and you're replaying that in the back of your mind. You don't even know that it's there. So if I'm not confident enough to take the step, then I'm going to fail. Then I'm going to get the criticism again. And then I'm going to be in poverty. That's how it works. That's how it goes. Self-confidence to failure to criticism, And now I have no money. And now I'm on the streets.
They're all intertwined.
Yep.
They're all intertwined. So now that we've talked about all the fears,
Yep.
we have our subscriber base is going to be terrified now. What can you do? What can you do to solve it, right? So I think number one for me is acknowledging it, and that's why I wanted to do this episode. Acknowledging that those fears exist.
And it's okay. It's okay that you can say, I have these. And if you don't, look at yourself and be honest, just you, me, myself, and I, you've got to.
Yes. And I'll share a little secret. The fears never go away. They never go away, no matter at what level you are in your journey. They never go away. If you focus on them and you embrace them and you work on understanding them and getting around them, right? They never go away. But you just become more aware of them. And you either just say, I'm going to push through this fear and I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to understand that I'm not going to be put into poverty and, criticism be damned, whatever. I'm going to go do this.
Yep.
If you just put them aside and you acknowledge them, sky's the limit. You're gonna blast right through them. If you ignore them and you let them sit in the insidious depths of your mind, one or two things will happen. You'll either never take the jump, you'll never go for it, or you'll go for it, but because those fears are kind of just sitting there and you're in a different energy in how you're going after your goals, you're going to sit in that energy and the fear will consume you and you will eventually make decisions that support the fear. So we'll just use the fear of poverty because that one's kind of easy right now, right? Go back to what we're talking about here, how to start to overcome that fear of poverty. If you are sitting in that fear of poverty and you don't acknowledge it, even if you make the decision to make the jump and go after your dreams of your entrepreneurial journey, but you make decisions based on the fear of poverty and not the feeling of wealth and abundance, you'll be sitting in that energy and you will struggle in the business, whatever your business is. So you need to understand that these fears exist. You have to acknowledge them. And then you have to work really hard on mindset to overcome them, to then embrace your journey and embrace your life of entrepreneurship.
So we talked about a couple ideas of how to, like you said, don't go crazy to one side while you're trying to reprogram and condition the mind. And when I'm saying this is it truly is, if you're going to go to the gym and you want to develop a muscle, you realize it's conditioning, right? Or if you want to become, I'm on an old but new running journey. And my body's like, what the heck are you doing? Sit down. But I know I have to keep going because right now that's how it feels. But if I just do a little, I'm doing the whole like couch to 5K, I think is what it's called. So it's just like, you do the walk for 30 seconds, you jog for like whatever it is, right? And it tells me in my ear. But so I'm reconditioning my body to be like, no, you're a runner. I actually wrote it down. I am a runner.
Yep.
So my belief system starts. My point is so we talked about poverty. If you have a fear of criticism, what about a couple ideas for that? How do you start to what are little tips and tricks that we can start to not have that fear of criticism or combat it? Because like you said, it's going to be there. And I have the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, you need to get around like-minded people.
Yeah.
I think that would be the quickest way to success. So, if in your community, you have people around you that have taken that jump and taken that leap and are doing something different, right? Just for what we're talking about, you got to be around them, right? I think take something today that you absolutely love, right? So if you love golf, right? If you love jujitsu, if you love dance, right? If you love
Mhm.
gardening, right? I'm just throwing out some different hobbies, right?
Yeah.
If you were to come to me and say, "Hey, Darryl, do you want to go in the backyard and garden?"
I know that answer.
You got the wrong guy. Even I love
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
I love hiking. I love being outside. I love
Yep.
fishing, right? I love it. Do I want to go garden? No, not
No,
really. No, I'm
not
good.
really.
I'm good. And if you ask me to go garden, I'm probably gonna be like, what? I, I'm not going to say this because I hopefully have a higher energy than this, but
Yep.
if I didn't, I might say, "What is wrong with you? You want to go? You want to go
You'd
garden?
say that to someone you love and care about, a
Yeah,
friend.
no, let's go
Yeah.
let's go fly a plane." No,
Yeah, let's do that.
they go, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, all
Yes.
right, that's fair. So what would you do? You would get yourself in a gardening club,
Right.
or you would get yourself around people who love to garden. And then those people are going to understand you. They're going to understand your vision and your passion and why you love to do this. And they're going to support it. And they're going to give you new ideas. Have you tried to plant this? Have you tried? I'm not a
This
gardener, so
fertilizer, yeah, exactly.
go with me. Like I'm not a gardener. So have you tried, hydroponics and growing it out of right? So kind of like, I don't know. I know nothing
This
about
is
gardening.
funny.
So, but like it will give you new and exciting ideas,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So if you have a dream to be an entrepreneur in a particular line of work, then you need to get yourself in those communities because those communities are going to understand you, and you will propel past criticism because now it feels weird in those groups. It feels weird to not be doing what you want to do.
Right. If you are struggling with your mindset, if you are struggling to even understand what that is, reach out to us. We love this. We talk about this. Um truly believe that you need to study it to start to condition your mind. And I told Darryl about this, I think like last week. I allowed myself to get into a rut, and I was like, man, I haven't done the readings, I haven't done the studying, and I haven't really been practicing what we're talking about. And it happens because it's just you get complacent. Reach out to us. We'd love to talk about it with you and hear your story and figure out a way to help you overcome some of these while sharing that we still have them and it's okay. But the more that we work through it, the easier that it is. And for us, this is a new venture, right? We have other ventures that we have, but this is a new venture for us. So we've got all kinds of things that we're working through to be successful in pushing through to for my goals, for my dreams, for Darryl's goals, for his dreams. Um and we can all do it together for sure. So I loved this. I loved this topic. There's other fears that may bubble up that we didn't touch on that you're like, yeah, that's not mine. This is mine. Write us, talk to us, tell us your stories, tell us how you were improving. Um, and anything that you guys, if there's a topic that's interesting to you around this, around mindset and quitting the quota, we'd also love to hear that because we have the gift of gab. So, any other last thoughts, Darryl?
We had a lot of thoughts on this one. Take the leap. If you have a particular fear, like Marya says, and you want to go deeper on it, reach out to us. Would love to help someone that listens to this and get them through that.
Love it. Well, guys, appreciate the time. Thanks for listening. Hopefully this resonated with some of you. And frankly, it's good for me to talk about it because it just encouraged me, makes me a little bit stronger. And to see that fear, but do it anyways, that is a true thing. So have a great rest of your day, weekend. I'm going to go celebrate with my girl. And we will see you guys soon.
See you soon.
Take care.
We'd love to hear your story on how you quit the quota. So please reach out so we can feature your story.